Now, you might have heard me talk about a company called Neon Play before. They're a mobile game studio based in Cirencester. They opened in June 2010, and they were a tiny firm, just sort of based above a shop in the town. Since then, they've expanded. They've built a reputation as one of the most successful in their field. They've achieved almost 50 million downloads, probably more today, and they've won lots of awards along the way as well. Now, yesterday, they won the prestigious Queen's Award for Enterprise in the Innovation category. And Oli Christie, the Chief Executive Officer of Neon Play, is with me this morning. Hello, Oli. Nice to see you.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for getting us in.
So this is great news. So tell us a bit more about the award.
Well, we found out about a month ago, actually, and we've been under strict secrecy not to tell a soul about it. So we've been itching to reveal the news that we have won this Queen's Award. It's a national award in 3 categories: sustainability, export and innovation, and we've won in the innovation category. And it's a huge kudos, really. There are only 150 given out each year. And I think there are 5 in Gloucestershire this year, which is less than usual, actually.
Yeah.
And Dame Janet Trotter, the Lord Lieutenant of Gloucestershire, is going to come to our office, I believe, to give us the glass bowl. And then we go to Buckingham Palace to meet the Queen in July.
So how many of you will go to meet the Queen?
I believe it's just Mark, my business partner, and myself, just 2 of us.
Very exciting, because I mean, I heard the news about Renishaw winning a Queen's Award as well, and you expect it from well, not expect it. It's still great news for big firms, but for a company your size, this is quite unusual, isn't it?
No, we were so surprised when we got the letter, because we entered because it was free to enter, so we thought, why not? We've won some local business awards in the past, but when we got the letter from the Queen's office saying that we won, I was gobsmacked, to be honest. It's very, very exciting, and it's thanks really to the whole company for all the hard work that they've done over the last 3 years, because we're not even 3 years old yet.
I mean, let's talk about the growth of your business, because I remember visiting you just as you started, and it was really at the beginning of this whole, well, it was already underway, this apps revolution, this mobile phone revolution, but still fairly young. And your little office, just a couple of rooms above a shop, really, wasn't it, in Cirencester? And you've just gone way beyond that.
We were in classic startup mode there, which I love, and it was probably the most exciting time, actually, that first year of growth, when we didn't know what we were doing. We'd never made a mobile game before we launched our first Flick Football, and that went top 10 as a paid game. It enabled us to grow from Mark and I in my kitchen at home to taking on our first 2 staff, and then we just produced a lot of games very quickly: Golf Putt Pro, Hot Shot Pool, Paper Glider, which became Apple's 10 billionth app download, which was a huge stroke of luck, odds of 10 billion to 1. But that helped put us on the map after 8 months only. And from then on, we've just grown into, a company of 17 people, still in Cirencester, very proud to be in Cirencester in Gloucestershire. And the market just continues to grow. There are millions of phones each day activated around the world. We export to 155 countries, and it's just a big, big business.
Is it a bubble industry? Is it one that will burst?
I don't think it will, because if you look globally, a lot of people have got either no phones at all in some of the emerging markets, or just the old Nokia phones. Now, if you imagine, in the UK, they're being replaced by smartphones, by iPhones, by Samsungs, etc., etc. So all those people who've got the very, very old small phones are now getting smartphones because of all the apps. And so the exponential growth is just never ending for the next 5 years at least, I'd say. And then it won't burst, because everyone's then got these phones and they need new content, new apps for those phones.
Coming up with ideas is the thing I always think must be the biggest challenge, because it's mainly games that you do. You do apps as well for, you've got some celebrity clients, haven't you? People like, was it Don Jolly you did one for? Or
yes,
Armstrong
we did one for John, we did one for Armstrong and Miller, we've done one for Al Murray, the pub landlord. But mostly the games is what we specialise in.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got to really be ahead of the game here, haven't you? Excuse the pun, but you've got to come up with things that are funny, that are almost addictive, because if they're not, then people won't play them.
I think when I started the company 3 years ago, I went away on a beach holiday with a blank book, and I came back with 100 ideas in my ideas book. And it was quite easy in those days to come up with something which hadn't been done on the App Store, because there were only 100,000 or 200,000 apps. Now there are nearly 1 million apps. So finding that gap in the market, that niche, is incredibly tricky. But if you do, you can make a lot of money. The top grossing games in the world at the moment are making over $1 million a day, and that's from a free app.
So, because a lot of them are free now, aren't they? This is a change in the market as well. You used to charge for them, but most of them you get for free now.
Yes, the way you actually make more money, ironically, is through free, because there's no barrier to entry. Everyone can get your game for free, like games like Clash of Clans and Candy Crush Saga, CSR Racing. These are big games which have got tens of millions of downloads, and only about 5% of those players will actually spend a penny on the game. But rather than being capped at 69p if you download a paid game, if it's a free game, you could end up spending £5, £10, £100, £1,000 sometimes. People just get so sucked into these games. And there are challenges to make a game that people spend so long playing, they get so hooked into the game, and they are very happy. They're delighted to spend that money to enhance their playing experience.
Now, this is quite an interesting area, isn't it? Because, you're relying on somebody getting hooked on a game to buy extras. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? So, for example, if it's a shoot-up game, more ammunition or more characters or whatever. Do you feel a moral responsibility there at all?
Well, we do, of course, and there's a big issue at the moment in the UK, and the OFT of actually investigating freemium apps. It's called freemium, free to premium. But we just need to make sure that people are happy to pay what we're charging for those extras in the game. We don't rip people off, and that the games are still fun to play. It's an evolving market, and we need to keep on top of it to survive, really, because if you don't, you'll just die.
And when I first met you, it was all Apple. It was iPhone, and then the iPads came along. Is that still your focus, or have you moved on to Android as well?
We do both. Apple is always the key focus for most app developers because it's still the biggest market in terms of monetization. Android or Google Play or the Amazon App Store is actually now a bigger market, and there are 1 million Android phones a day being activated around the world, so you can't discount it. Currently, we're not working on BlackBerry or Windows and Nokia phones because it's not proven to monetize that well. So the focus is very much on Apple and Google phones.
Well, I'm intrigued to know what you like playing around with on your phone. So we'll do that in just a minute, and we'll also talk a bit more about this area of addiction to mobile apps as well. Guest in the studio with me this morning is Oli Christie, who's the Chief Executive Officer of a company called Neon Play, based in Cirencester, celebrating a Queen's Award for Enterprise. And we've been talking about his growing business this morning. Oli, is there an app that you now can't live without?
Well, every morning when I lie in bed, I look at the Sun app and the Times app to get both ends of the spectrum. So that's the sort of, I'm a bit of a news junkie, so I love to do that. I use Facebook and Twitter a fair amount. I use banking apps. I play games sometimes if I've got a bit of downtime. And we've got a new game out called the Big Movie Quiz, which is quite good fun just to test your movie knowledge. And there are just so many apps. And my 8-year-old daughter, she's got a phone, and she shows me a hell of a lot of new apps and games as well.
And I bet you can get your own children to try and break the game as well.
Yep,
is there anything
they're good
wrong
testing.
with it? Yeah.
No, I mean we've done apps for children in the past for Ben 10 and Little Princess, and I've actually gone to their schools and done user testing with them because it's fascinating. You think you know how they might go around the app and press which button, or it's very obvious what to do, but when you see them play, sometimes it's not.
Now this is an issue, isn't it? I mean, in the Mail today, the newspaper, 4-year-old girl is Britain's youngest iPad addict. Shocking rise in children hooked on using smartphones and tablet. Says she's one of many school children displaying compulsive behaviour with the device. Girl is so addicted to the game that she experiences withdrawal symptoms. And a poll shows that more than half of parents let their babies use tablets or smartphones. There's also a picture in the Mail today of a new gadget you can buy, which is a potty with a bracket attached to it that you put your tablet on to keep the child entertained. I mean, do you think we'd you like it, do you?
I think it's brilliant.
Well, what's going on then? Do you think we are using these as a tool to just entertain children and not allow them to develop their brains properly?
I think there's a bit of that. I'm surprised actually it's not younger than 4 because, I've seen 2-year-olds use iPads and iPhones better than their parents, actually. I think ultimately it comes down to parents saying no. And it is, I've got 3 children. It's very easy to be lazy and use the iPad as an electric babysitter. Keep them quiet in the car or if they're having a bit of a tantrum at home. But it's just about restricting use, really, and just saying you can use it for half an hour or whatever it might be. I mean, my 8-year-old's got one. And we use it as quite a clever way of punishing them. So if you do that, you're not going to have the iPod today. And suddenly she'll behave very well. But then likewise, I was in hospital yesterday with my 3-year-old son who cut his head open and he was very upset. And so we used the iPod to distract him almost from his pain and all the blood everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not an iPad, it's going to be something else, isn't it? I mean, we were one of these parents who thought we'd never let the children watch television. Of course they watch television, and it's really useful sometimes. It is, isn't it?
It is, sadly. But ultimately, we all need to decide when enough is enough, and they may throw tantrums and have withdrawal symptoms, whatever that might be. That's often just children acting and playing up, but they're quite cunning.
So it's not something that concerns you then? You don't think...
No, but it can be very concerning, and, you know, I've seen our children have tantrums when we say that's it. You know, I want to play Temple Run, or whatever it might be. But you just got to say no and stick to your guns.
OK, now, what are you working on at the moment, and what's the future, the next few years for your company in Cirencester?
We're working on a very big game at the moment, top secret, sadly, but it'll be launching later on this year, and it's going to be a big game, freemium, like we were talking about. It'll be console quality, so incredibly high creative visualization, so it'll look like an Xbox or a PlayStation game, and we really hope it's going to make waves in the industry. We got very, very high hopes for it. And we're also making some quiz apps, a whole series of quiz apps, so the big movie quiz, the big TV quiz, the big song quiz, and those are quite fun. And we've actually working with the Cirencester students who are actually making these apps during work experience, so it's great for them. So we're working with that college and the University of Gloucestershire as well.
Are the skills out there then for you to expand as a company and keep ahead of the game? Is the right base of people to recruit from?
Yes and no. Sadly, most CVs we get these days are not British citizens, which is not a problem. Our last 3 employees have been Polish, Greek and Hungarian, but it does seem there's a lack of proper training at universities, and we're actually speaking to our local universities in Gloucestershire about what we really want from students. You know, what would we like them to be qualified to do? Because at the moment we don't really feel they're being taught properly, which is a real concern, and this is happening across the country as well.
Is that something you want to get more involved in then, sort of shaping education in this area?
Yeah, totally. And actually the Cirencester college course is now going to become part of their curriculum as some of these guys who are actually doing work experience with us, which is fantastic. So if we can help do that, that's great. The other thing I want to try and do is help make Gloucestershire a cooler place to work, really. It's the most wonderful place to live, wonderful place to work, but we want more creative companies here. You know, we want people who are maybe thinking about leaving London to move to the countryside to consider Gloucestershire as a great place to start a company, because there are some great people here. A lot of students want to stay in Gloucestershire, but they leave because there aren't the creative companies here to do it. So we want to try and help do that.
And it works for you, does it, being in Cirencester with transport links to... Because I guess you have to travel quite a bit with your job as well, do you? Or?
I don't travel a huge amount, to be fair, and a lot of the guys have now moved to Cirencester, which is great. Some are in Cheltenham. It would have been easier if we weren't in Ciren, probably, but I'm so pleased we are there. It's a beautiful place to work. It's got lovely shops and restaurants, and it's got sort of character, and we've got a beautiful office in the middle of Ciren. So no, it's a great place. I'm very proud that we have done it in Cirencester as well.
Well, good to see you today, Ollie. Thanks for coming in, and we wish you all the best with your visit to see Her Majesty the Queen, which won't be too far away.
Thank you very much,
and congratulations on winning the award. Keep us up to date with what you're up to. Brilliant.
Cheers.
Oli Christie from Neon Play, a firm based in Cirencester. BBC Radio Gloucestershire, 10:25. We'll check the roads next.